My name is Eric Welander. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about the Connectsense in-wall outlet. This could be a really nice way to put smart plug functionality inside your walls, and it has some automation features that you don't find too much in other smart plugs or in-wall outlets. So Connectsense is a company based near me in the suburbs of Chicago, and they do work for clients putting the smart in smart home tech. And along with that, they also make some of their own products like this Connectsense in-wall outlet. So Connectsense sent me this product for review, and because they're local to the Chicago area, I was able to meet up with their CEO, Adam, and he treated me to a great lunch at a local fast food joint called Chipotle, and it was great to just talk about this and all things HomeKit. But as far as I'm concerned, none of this influenced my opinion of this product. I'm definitely going to call out the areas where I think it could be better. So before you get an outlet like this or a smart switch or really any kind of product in your smart home, you should have an idea of where you want to put it and how you want to use it. It might not be exactly what it turns out to be, but at least you have a plan going in. So for this in-wall outlet, it's great to replace any existing in-wall outlet that is not controlled by a light switch in your home. Now, there are edge cases of other types of in-wall outlets for certain circumstances in a home, and I'm not going to get into that here, but just keep in mind that it's probably best to replace standard in-wall outlets. And if you have questions about scenarios like that, ask an electrician or a local expert what you should do. So for me, I had a standard outlet in my office where I connected both an air purifier and a space heater. Now, I had two smart plugs attached to that outlet so I could automate those, of course. And then by the time you put in the smart plugs and then the outlet connections for those devices, you start to get out into the room a bunch, and this is a smaller room, and I hadn't really done much either with cable management for these devices, so I thought, why don't I just replace that with this in-wall outlet? It'll save space and I'll neaten up the cables while I'm at it. And it also added some cool automation features that I'll talk about in a minute. So in the box, you get the in-wall outlet as well as a manual that describes the installation with nice pictures. And as far as installations go, this is very straightforward. If you've ever done a smart switch in your wall, I would consider this a lot easier for just putting in a standard in-wall outlet box. So if you're looking to get into sort of ripping things out of your wall and making them smart, this in-wall outlet might be a good place to get started. Of course, shut off the breaker, and if you have ground wires in like a newer home, be sure to connect those as well. One small detail I like is that they use standard screws on the actual in-wall outlet, which often matches standard screws on face plates, so then you don't have to be switching screwdrivers. So onto the HomeKit setup. Of course, you could scan the HomeKit code in the manual or on the back of the outlet, but again, the attention to detail. What if you're having to re-add the accessory to your home later on, or all kinds of other things? So they've built in an NFC chip into the front of the wall outlet that you can tap with an NFC enabled iPhone to trigger the pairing in HomeKit right from there. Now, once the outlet lands in HomeKit, you'll see that it is the two individual outlets as separate plugs. So that those come in as a grouped set, but then you can show as separate tiles, which is how I like them inside of the Home app. And that probably gets to better describing if you're having trouble understanding how this product actually works as a smart product. It just turns the two outlets in the wall into smart plugs. Now, like smart plugs, when you turn these on and off, you'll hear a nice audible click just to know that the device turned on or off. And then there's also capacitive touch buttons on the front of the outlet, which you can then use to toggle the plug on or off. I found these a little bit hard to find at first and hard to get the hang of sort of the two-tap gesture to turn them on or off. You know, a physical button would have been a little nicer, but it's kind of hard to find space to put it in the front of the outlet. So I get where they're coming from. And once you get used to it, it's really not that bad, but I did want to call it out that it's maybe not the easiest to use feature. There's also LED lights on the front that give you an idea as well if the outlet is on or off, and then those can be configured inside of the app to either dim the brightness or completely turn it off. So then if you're installing this in something like a bedroom, you don't have to have the LEDs blaring at you all night long. For configuring the details of like the LED lights and some other stuff, you want to go ahead and install the Connectsense app on your iPhone. And from there, if you want this plug to work with Amazon Alexa or Google Nest, then go ahead and set up a Connectsense account in the app where you can go ahead and then link that account and service over with those smart home providers to get that integration as well. Now, I will say up front, I'm an app developer by trade, so I tend to notice all kinds of little quirks with apps, and it lacks some of the polish and has bugs here and there that make it a little harder to use, but I am sending Connectsense a list of the bugs that I found in this app, so that might be updated by the time you watch this. And the beauty of HomeKit is that other than sort of the initial settings you might need to use, you can use any number of different apps to trigger these automations like the Eve app, Home Plus. So I'm going to take you into the Connectsense app, show you a few things with the configuration, as well as adding some rules for automation and seeing some of the energy usage profiles. So if we go here to the middle tab of devices, then you can see the configuration. I already have pulled up here one of the plugs. Of course, it shows all your HomeKit accessories, but then this is just one of the plugs, and I can see how long it's been on or off, as well as the device type. I can configure the LED brightness here, as well as disabling the physical controls. So those capacitive buttons that are on the front of the plug, if you have little children like me and you don't want those to be enabled, so you don't have your little children turning on or off the outlet, then you can disable that. Of course, children should probably be away from electrical outlets as it is. So now I'm going to go over to the power usage tab, and it'll show me some more details about the usage of this plug. And you can see then historically over a week or month or stuff as you use it for more time, and it'll show you a breakdown of which of the plugs are using more power. So if you can see in my case, the space heater is using way more energy than the air purifier. Now, one of the really cool things about this plug is HomeKit related automation. So a lot of plugs out there allow you to trigger automation based on accessory state. So for instance, if the plug is turned on in some kind of smart home way, then that can trigger a HomeKit scene to happen. And of course, you can do that with the Connectsense outlet, but they also expose two other layers of automation triggers that can then also trigger HomeKit scenes. One is time on or off, which I didn't really find a practical use for, but it's there if you want to use it. But the one I'm personally really excited about is wattage. The amount of watts that a particular plug is using can then trigger an automation within HomeKit. So I can go here to the rules and create a new event, and then we can say, let's say space turn on, and then I can add a trigger here. This is like an if something happens, and then I can choose an accessory state. And it's important to note, you could set this up here, or you could use other HomeKit related automation apps if you're more comfortable in that as well. But this should show you an idea of what's kind of at play and working here. So I choose the plug at the bottom here, and then you'll see that it's exposed these different automation triggers to HomeKit. So then I can choose for the space heater, the energy used, and I can say if the energy used is above, let's just say, 48 watts. Or 36 watts. So if the energy used is above 36 watts, then it can trigger whatever automation I want. So I hit done here, and it adds that trigger. Now I could add a when condition, so only do this after sunset, or some time of day, something else like that. But then I'm just going to go ahead and add a then scene. So in this case, this is in my office, so I'm going to choose office medium, which is a scene to put the lights in my office to a medium level. So I hit done, and now I have the automation. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. So now it's created. If I go out of the screen and back, this is one of the bugs that I noticed, but now you can see space heater turns on lights is there as an automation. So that means that I leave the plug on for my space heater, but when I turn on the space heater with the physical controls on it, it increases the power draw, which then triggers the automation. So this is just convenient for me in the office that I can turn on the space heater and then it turns on the other lights the way I like. But at the same time, you could also use this, let's say if you're turning on a space heater or an air purifier or something else before you go to bed, then that physical action could trigger also your HomeKit goodnight scene. Another way you could use this is if there's a certain appliance, maybe a washing machine or dishwasher or something that is compatible with a in-wall outlet, then you could use this to turn a light in your house a particular color when that machine is on, and then when it, sort of stops using power, then that light bulb changes back to its normal color or turns off, and you can get sort of that status of, is my laundry done? You could also use this in like a home theater scenario. So when you turn on a projector, that projector turning on then triggers the lights in the room to sort of dim or change. But with that, I think it can be a really cool way to automate some things in your smart home and also make it really usable for other people who are probably already used to using the physical controls on some of these devices rather than having to go into the Home app and trigger a smart plug or something that way. So this plug is available in 15 amp and 20 amp versions. I tested the 15 amp version, which costs $80 in the US, and then the 20 amp version costs $100. It's just now starting to ship in Canada, so as soon as I get the link for the Canadian version, I will put that in the description below as well, next to the US version for quick access. Unfortunately, Connectsense doesn't seem to have plans anytime soon to make more international versions of this, but of course, if you're interested, reach out to them on Twitter or in the comments below or whatever, just to let them know that you're interested in having something like this come to your particular power standard or part of the world. I think it's a really cool product and has a lot of really cool potential. If you had this kind of automation where you could, trigger things based on watt changes, how would that evolve your smart home? What would you trigger scenes, or what devices would you hook up to that? It's great to share those kind of ideas in the comments and hear what other people are saying as well. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.